Have you ever had one of those moments where your entire world flips upside down in the span of a single sentence? Where the people you've loved and trusted your whole life suddenly become strangers? Where home stops feeling like home? I'm Sarah Mitchell, and on September 15th, 2023, I experienced exactly that. I was 34 years old, a single mother to my precious 7-year-old daughter, Emma, and I thought I knew what family meant. I thought I understood loyalty, love, and the unbreakable bonds that tie mothers to daughters, sisters to brothers. I was wrong. That Friday afternoon, standing on my childhood home's front porch with my daughter's tiny hand clutched in mine, I heard 5 words that would change everything. We have all decided you don't live here anymore. My mother, the woman who had raised me, who had taught me to ride a bike, who had stayed up countless nights when I had the flu, said those words while looking me straight in the eye. And then, without another word, she closed the door in my face, leaving Emma and me standing there in the fading autumn sunlight, our suitcases at our feet, nowhere to go. But this story isn't just about betrayal. It's about discovering strength you never knew you had. It's about the unexpected angels who appear when your own family turns their back. And it's about learning that sometimes the family you choose is stronger than the family you're born into. This is my story. And it begins 6 months before that terrible Friday with a phone call that should have been a blessing. The inheritance, January 12th, 2023, started like any other Thursday morning. I was rushing around my tiny 2-bedroom apartment in suburban Cleveland trying to get Emma ready for school while simultaneously burning toast and searching for her missing left shoe. Single motherhood was a constant juggling act, and that morning I was dropping all the balls. "Mommy, I can't find Mr. Whiskers." Emma wailed from her bedroom, referring to the stuffed cat she'd had since birth. "Check under your bed, sweetie," I called back, scraping the blackened bread into the trash. My phone buzzed on the counter, an unknown number. Normally, I'd let it go to voicemail, but something made me answer. "Ms. Sarah Mitchell?" A crisp, professional male voice. "Yes, this is she. This is Gregory Thornton from Thornton & Associates law firm. I'm calling regarding the estate of Margaret Louise Henderson. I believe she was your grandmother?" My breath caught. Grandma Margaret. She'd passed away 3 weeks earlier on Christmas Eve at the age of 92. I'd been devastated. She'd been one of the few people in my family who truly understood me. "Yes, she was my grandmother," I managed to say. "I'm the executor of her will, and I need to inform you that you've been named as a primary beneficiary. Mrs. Henderson left you her property at 847 Maple Ridge Road, along with the contents thereof and a sum of $475,000. I actually had to sit down. The phone nearly slipped from my hand. "I'm sorry, could you repeat that?" He did. It was real. Grandma Margaret, who had lived modestly in her small but charming house on the edge of town, had been quietly saving and investing for decades. She'd left almost everything to me, her only granddaughter who had visited her every Sunday without fail, who had brought Emma to see her, who had genuinely loved spending time with her. The house needed work, Mr. Thornton explained, but it was structurally sound and fully paid off. The money was in various accounts and investments. After taxes and fees, I'd still be looking at close to $400,000 and a mortgage-free home. I cried after hanging up. Emma found me sitting on the kitchen floor, tears streaming down my face, and immediately wrapped her little arms around me. "Don't be sad about great-grandma, Mommy," she whispered. "She's with the angels now." "I know, baby." "I know." I held her tight. "These are happy tears, too. Great-grandma left us her house. We're going to have a real home." What I didn't know then was that this blessing would become the source of my family's deepest betrayal. Family meeting? The problem started almost immediately. My mother, Patricia Mitchell, called me that same evening. Her voice had an edge I recognized from childhood. It was the tone she used when she was angry but trying to sound reasonable. "Sarah, we need to talk about your grandmother's will." "Okay," I said cautiously. Settling onto my worn couch after putting Emma to bed, "It's just, well, your brother Marcus and I were surprised. Very surprised. Your grandmother had always said she'd take care of all of us." Marcus was my younger brother, 31, who worked in sales and lived in a condo downtown. We'd never been particularly close, but I'd always thought we had a decent relationship. "Mom, I didn't know anything about this." Grandma never mentioned. "That's exactly the problem, Sarah. She should have divided things equally. I'm her daughter. Marcus is her grandson. But she left almost everything to you." I felt a flutter of unease in my stomach. I loved Grandma. I visited her every week. I took care of her when she was sick. And you think Marcus and I didn't love her? You think I didn't care about my own mother? Mom's voice rose sharply. Just because we didn't have as much free time as you, just because we have careers and responsibilities. Mom, I work full-time. I'm a single mother. I made time. Well, a long cold pause. We're having a family meeting this Saturday at my house. 2:00. Your Aunt Linda and Uncle Robert will be there too. We need to discuss this situation. There's nothing to discuss. It's what Grandma wanted. Saturday. 2:00. Don't be late, Sarah. She hung up before I could respond. I should have seen it coming then. Should have recognized the warning signs. But I was too overwhelmed with the possibilities. Emma could have her own room, a backyard to play in, maybe even a dog. I could stop living paycheck to paycheck. We could have stability. I didn't realize that in my family's eyes, I'd just committed an unforgivable sin. I'd received something they thought they deserved. The accusations Saturday, January 14th, was brutally cold. Snow had fallen overnight, covering Cleveland in a blanket of white that would have been beautiful if I wasn't so anxious about the meeting. I left Emma with my friend Jessica, who lived in my apartment building. Jessica was one of the few people I trusted completely, a fellow single mom who understood the struggles. You sure you don't want me to come with you? Jessica asked, concern in her dark eyes. It's just a family meeting. I'll be fine. I was so naive. Mom's house was in a nice suburb, a 4-bedroom colonial that she'd bought after her divorce from my father 10 years earlier. Her real estate career had been successful, and she was proud of it. The driveway was full when I arrived. Mom's silver Lexus, Marcus's BMW, Aunt Linda's Mercedes SUV, and Uncle Robert's truck. The entire family had assembled. For me. Mom opened the door before I could knock, her expression carefully neutral. Come in, we're in the living room. The scene that greeted me felt like an ambush. Everyone was already seated, arranged in a semicircle facing a single empty chair that was clearly meant for me. It reminded me of an intervention I'd seen on TV once. Sit down, Sarah, Uncle Robert said. He was my mother's older brother, a contractor who'd done well for himself. He'd always been gruff but fair, or so I'd thought. I sat, feeling like I was on trial. We've been discussing the situation with Mom's will, Aunt Linda began. She was a paralegal and had apparently appointed herself spokesperson. And we all agree that it's fundamentally unfair. Grandma made her own choices, I started. Did she? Marcus interrupted, leaning forward. His expression was hard, unfamiliar. Or did you influence her? You were over there constantly, Sarah. Who knows what you were saying to her? I felt like he'd slapped me. Are you accusing me of manipulating Grandma? We're just saying, Mom interjected smoothly, that an elderly woman, especially one with declining health, can be easily influenced by someone who spends a lot of time with her. I visited her because I loved her. Because she was lonely. Because no one else bothered. My voice was rising, but I couldn't help it. That's not fair, Aunt Linda snapped. We all had our own lives, our own responsibilities. Not all of us had the luxury of unlimited free time. I work 40 hours a week and raise a child alone. The point is, Uncle Robert cut in, his voice booming, we think the right thing to do, the fair thing, is to divide the inheritance equally among all of Margaret's descendants. I stared at them in disbelief. You want me to give you my inheritance? Not give, Mom said quickly. Redistribute, fairly. I should receive at least half as her daughter. Robert and Linda should receive portions as her children. Marcus should receive something as her grandson. It only makes sense. You're her daughter. She left you things. She left you her jewelry and her china and items, Linda said dismissively. Sentimental trinkets worth maybe a few $1,000s total. You got nearly $500,000 in a house. Because that's what she wanted. Or because you convinced her that's what she wanted, Marcus said coldly. The room went silent. I looked from face to face, searching for one ally, one person who might defend me. I found none. They all wore the same expression, determination mixed with a hint of self-righteousness, as if they were convinced they were doing the right thing. I'm not giving up what Grandma left me, I said quietly but firmly. She knew what she was doing. She was sharp as a tack until the end. And I'm not going to dishonor her wishes because you all feel entitled to money you didn't earn. Entitled? Mom's face flushed red. How dare you? I'm leaving. I stood up, my legs shaking but my resolve firm. If you walk out that door, Uncle Robert said, his voice low and threatening, you're choosing money over family. No. I turned to look at him. You all chose money over family the moment you decided to attack me for something Grandma did. I walked out. Behind me, I could hear raised voices, Mom saying something about just like her father, selfish to the core, but I didn't stop. I cried the entire drive back to my apartment. When I picked up Emma from Jessica's, I had to pretend everything was fine, that Mommy had just had a long day. That night, lying awake in bed, I told myself it would blow over. That families fought about money all the time, but eventually, they reconciled. I was wrong about that, too. The Cold War January turned to February, and I didn't hear from any of them. No calls, no texts, nothing. Emma noticed. Why doesn't Grandma come visit anymore? She asked one evening while we were eating dinner at our small kitchen table. Grandma's just really busy with work, sweetie. But she always came before. Every other Sunday. Emma's blue eyes, so much like my own, were troubled. Did I do something wrong? My heart broke. No, baby. No, you didn't do anything wrong. Sometimes adults have disagreements, but it's not your fault. Never your fault. I tried calling Mom twice. Both times she let it go to voicemail. I texted Marcus. Read receipts showed he'd seen the messages, but he never responded. It hurt more than I wanted to admit. Meanwhile, I was working with Mr. Thornton to process the inheritance. Grandma's house needed a new roof, updated plumbing, and fresh paint throughout, but it had good bones. The neighborhood was quiet and safe, with an excellent elementary school just 3 blocks away. I could see Emma and me building a life there. I hired contractors and started the renovation work, using part of the inheritance money. I gave notice at my apartment that I'd be moving out by April 1st. Emma was excited about her new room, about having a backyard, about maybe getting a puppy. Can we plant flowers like Great-Grandma had? She asked, clutching the photo album I'd inherited that showed Grandma's garden in full bloom. We can plant whatever you want, sweetheart. Things were looking up. I was building a future for my daughter. If my family wanted to be petty and cold, that was their loss, but they weren't done with me yet. The lawsuit. The papers arrived on March 3rd, hand-delivered by a process server who found me at work. My mother, brother, aunt, and uncle were suing me. All of them, together. The lawsuit claimed that I had exercised undue influence over Margaret Henderson during her final years, manipulating her into changing her will to unfairly benefit me. They were seeking to have the will overturned and the estate redistributed according to Ohio intestacy laws, which would give my mother the majority and split the rest among other relatives. I stood in the break room at the medical supply company where I worked in accounts receivable, staring at the legal documents with shaking hands. You okay, Sarah? My coworker Tom approached, concerned. I have to go. I'm sorry. I left work early, picked up Emma from after-school care, and went straight to Jessica's apartment. She took one look at my face and ushered Emma into the bedroom to play with her daughter. Tell me, she said simply. I told her everything. The inheritance, the family meeting, the silent treatment, and now this lawsuit. Jesus, Jessica breathed. Your own mother? All of them. I couldn't stop the tears anymore. Jessica, I didn't do anything wrong. I just loved my grandmother. I just spent time with her. I know, honey. I know. She hugged me tight. You need a lawyer. She was right. I called Mr. Thornton, who referred me to a litigator named Amanda Chen. When I met with Amanda later that week, she reviewed the lawsuit and looked up at me with a slight smile. This is weak. Very weak. Unless they have evidence that you coerced or manipulated your grandmother, which based on what you're telling me, they don't. This case won't go anywhere. Really? Really? Your grandmother was 92, but by all accounts mentally competent. She used a lawyer to draft her will. Multiple people witnessed it. You didn't even know about the inheritance until after she passed. There's no case here. Relief flooded through me. So what do I do? We file a response, we go through discovery, and in a few months, this will likely be dismissed. But Sarah, Amanda's expression grew serious, even winning this will cost money. Legal fees, court costs. I'd estimate $15,000 to $20,000 by the time it's done. My stomach sank. They know I can't afford that. They're trying to force me to settle. Probably. Would you consider it? I thought about Grandma, about the hours we'd spent together, about how she'd told me on her deathbed that she wanted me to have a better life. No, I'm not giving them a penny. Amanda nodded approvingly. Then let's fight. Fighting meant more than just legal battles. It meant becoming a pariah in my own family. In March, my cousin Rebecca, Uncle Robert's daughter, got engaged. I found out through Facebook. I wasn't invited to the engagement party. When I texted Rebecca to congratulate her, she responded with a cold message. Thanks, but Dad said it's probably better if you don't come around anymore. You've caused enough family drama. Drama. I'd caused drama. Easter came in April. Every year since Emma was born, we'd celebrated at Mom's house. The whole family would gather. Grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins. Emma loved hunting for Easter eggs with the other kids. This year, no invitation came. Mommy, when are we going to Grandma's for Easter? Emma asked me a week before the holiday. I'd been dreading this conversation. We're not going this year, sweetie. We're going to have our own Easter celebration. Just you and me. Won't that be fun? Her little face fell. But why? I want to see Grandma and Uncle Marcus and I know, baby. I know. I pulled her close. Sometimes families have grown-up problems. It's not your fault, and it's not that they don't love you. They're just dealing with some things right now. Is it because of Great-Grandma's house? I froze. What makes you say that? I heard you talking to Miss Jessica about how they're mad you got the house. Her voice was small. Did I hear wrong? I closed my eyes, fighting back tears. My 7-year-old daughter shouldn't have to deal with this. No, you didn't hear wrong. But Emma listened to me. Great-Grandma wanted us to have the house because she loved us very much. We didn't do anything wrong by accepting her gift. Do you understand? She nodded, but I could see the confusion and hurt in her eyes. That night, I heard her crying in her room. When I went to comfort her, she sobbed, I miss Grandma. I miss everyone. I held her and cried too. We moved into Grandma's house, our house, on April 15th. Jessica helped, along with a few other friends from work. The renovations were nearly complete and the place looked beautiful. Fresh paint in soft blues and greens, refinished hardwood floors, a new kitchen backsplash. Emma's room was perfect. I'd painted it lavender, her favorite color, and hung fairy lights along the ceiling. It's like a princess room. She squealed when she saw it. For a moment, everything felt right. We were building our new life, and it was going to be good. But the isolation continued. My mother blocked me on social media. When I ran into Aunt Linda at the grocery store in early May, she literally turned her cart around and walked away. The lawsuit was grinding forward. Discovery had begun, which meant endless documents and depositions. Amanda assured me we were in a strong position. But it was draining, emotionally and financially. And then, in late June, things got worse. The employer I came home from work on June 27th to find Emma sitting on the front porch with Jessica. My daughter's face was tear-stained, and Jessica looked furious. What happened? I dropped my purse and rushed to Emma. Tell her, Jessica said grimly. Emma sniffled. Uncle Marcus came here. To our house, my blood ran cold. What? When? This afternoon. I got off the school bus like normal, and I was walking to the house, and his car was in the driveway. He got out and said he needed to talk to me, and I tried to keep my voice calm even though rage was building inside me. He said that you're not being fair. That great-grandma didn't really mean to give us the house, that you tricked her. He said that Grandma, your mom, is really sad because of what you did, and that if I loved Grandma, I should talk to you about giving the house back. I couldn't speak. My brother, my own brother, had approached my 7-year-old child to manipulate her. I was just getting home from work when I saw his car pulling away, Jessica said. Emma was standing in the yard crying. I got her to tell me what happened, and I've been waiting with her for you. Thank you, I managed. Emma, go inside and wash your face, okay? I need to make a phone call. Once she was inside, I immediately called Amanda Chen. Can they do that? Can he approach my child? Technically, he didn't do anything illegal unless he threatened her. But Sarah, this is harassment, and it's particularly egregious because he involved a minor. We can use this. We can file for a restraining order if needed. Do it. I don't want any of them near my daughter. I also called Marcus. He answered on the third ring, sounding casual as if he hadn't just traumatized his niece. What the hell is wrong with you? I didn't even try to control my anger. Sarah, you approached my daughter. My 7-year-old daughter. You tried to use her against me. I just wanted to talk to her to help her understand. She's 7. She doesn't need to understand anything except that her mother loves her and is taking care of her. You had no right, Marcus. None. You're tearing this family apart. I'm tearing it apart. You're suing me. You're poisoning everyone against me. And now you're involving my child? If you'd just be reasonable about the inheritance, stay away from us. Stay away from my daughter. If you come near her again, I'll file a restraining order so fast it'll make your head spin. I hung up, shaking with rage and fear. That night, I barely slept. Emma had nightmares and crawled into bed with me around 2 a.m., whispering, "Are we bad people, Mommy?" No, baby. We're not bad people. We're good people dealing with other people's bad choices. The next week, Amanda filed a motion to have Marcus ordered to stay away from Emma. The judge granted it. My family was now legally forbidden from contacting my child. It should have felt like a victory. Instead, it felt like watching my family die. The summer of silence, summer 2023, was the loneliest period of my life. Emma and I established new routines. We went to the community pool, visited the library, had playdates with Jessica's daughter. I tried to fill the void where extended family had been, but nothing quite worked. In July, I learned through the grapevine that Mom had thrown a big 4th of July party. Everyone was there. All the aunts, uncles, cousins. They'd set up a huge water slide in the backyard, had a BBQ, watched fireworks. Emma would have loved it. We watched fireworks from our backyard, just the two of us. I made hot dogs and let Emma stay up late. She smiled and clapped at the colorful explosions in the sky, but I could see the sadness in her eyes. "Do you think they're watching fireworks too?" she asked quietly. "Probably, sweetheart." "Do you think they miss us?" I didn't know how to answer that. I think sometimes people get so focused on being right that they forget what's really important. She leaned against me, and we watched the rest of the show in silence. The lawsuit continued its slow march through the court system. In August, we had depositions. I had to sit across from my mother, my own mother, while lawyers asked questions about my relationship with Grandma. Mom wouldn't look at me. Not once during the entire 3-hour deposition did she meet my eyes. She claimed that I had isolated Grandma from the family, that I had badmouthed other relatives to her, that I had constantly talked about money and my financial struggles to manipulate her sympathy. All lies. When it was my turn, I told the truth. I had visited Grandma every Sunday because she was lonely and I loved her. I had brought Emma because Grandma adored her great-granddaughter. We had talked about everything: books, history, her childhood, her marriage to Grandpa, her dreams for me and Emma. Yes, she knew I struggled financially, but I never asked her for anything. Not once. Amanda said I did great. But driving home afterward, I felt hollowed out. The woman I'd called Mom my entire life had just spent 3 hours lying about me under oath. In late August, Emma started 2nd grade. She'd been excited about the new school near our house, but the first day was hard. She didn't know any of the kids yet, and she missed her cousin Jacob, Marcus's son, who she'd always been close to. "Jacob was my best friend," she told me that evening, her voice breaking. "And now I can't even talk to him." I wrote Jacob a letter. I addressed it to Marcus and his wife Claire, asking if Emma could please write to Jacob, promising that it would just be kid stuff. No discussion of adult problems. I never got a response. September arrived. The leaves started turning, and I started to accept that my family was truly gone. September 15th, 2023, the day that would become etched in my memory forever. I'd been having problems with my car, an old Honda Civic that was on its last legs. That morning, it finally died completely. It wouldn't start no matter what I did. I'd been planning to buy a new car soon, with part of the inheritance money, but with the legal fees mounting, I'd been putting it off. I called into work, arranged for a tow truck, and spent the morning dealing with the mechanic. The news was bad. The transmission was shot. Repair would cost more than the car was worth. "You need a new vehicle," the mechanic said sympathetically. I knew he was right. I called a cab to take me to Emma's school. It was early dismissal day, and then to the used car lot across town. But car shopping with a 7-year-old is challenging, especially when you're stressed and exhausted. Emma was cranky because she was hungry. I was overwhelmed by the pushy salesman and the prices. By 3 o'clock, I hadn't bought anything. Emma was melting down, and I needed help. I made a decision that, looking back, was born of desperation and perhaps denial. I called my mother. She answered, which surprised me. "What is it, Sarah?" Her voice was cold, but she'd answered. That felt like something. Mom, I'm sorry to bother you. My car died, and I'm at a dealership with Emma, and she's exhausted and hungry, and I just need an hour to handle this. Could you possibly come get her? Take her to your house for a bit, feed her dinner, and I'll pick her up as soon as I'm done. Silence on the other end. Please, Mom. I know things are bad between us, but Emma doesn't deserve to suffer. She just needs a safe place for an hour or two. More silence. Then, where are you? Hope bloomed in my chest. I gave her the address of the dealership. I'll be there in 20 minutes. I almost cried with relief. Maybe this was the breakthrough. Maybe Mom was remembering that Emma was her granddaughter, that some things were more important than money. Mom arrived exactly 20 minutes later in her Lexus. She got out, her expression unreadable behind large sunglasses. Emma, sweetheart. I said, Grandma's here. You're going to go have dinner with her while Mommy finishes up here, okay? Emma's face lit up, the first genuine smile I'd seen from her in weeks. Grandma! She ran to her grandmother, expecting a hug. Mom patted her shoulder awkwardly. Thank you so much, I told Mom. I'll call when I'm done, probably around 5:30 or 6. Mom nodded curtly and opened the back door of her car for Emma. I helped buckle her in, kissed her forehead. Be good for Grandma. I love you. Love you too, Mommy. As they drove away, I felt a weight lift. Maybe this was the beginning of reconciliation. Maybe seeing Emma again would remind Mom of what really mattered. I went back to car shopping with renewed focus. By 5 o'clock, I'd found a decent used Toyota Camry at a fair price and was signing paperwork. By 5:30, I was driving off the lot in my new car. I called Mom's cell. No answer. I tried again at 6. No answer. I called the house phone. No answer. By 6:30, I was starting to worry. I drove to Mom's house, my heart pounding. Her car was in the driveway. So was Marcus's, and Aunt Linda's, and Uncle Robert's. Warning bells went off in my head, but I pushed them aside. I parked and walked up to the front door, rang the bell. Marcus answered. His expression was hard. I'm here for Emma, I said, trying to sound calm. She's not here. What? I saw your mom's car. Mom's here. Emma's not. My heart started racing. Where is she? Where's my daughter? Home, probably. Home? What are you? Mom appeared behind Marcus. I took her home after dinner. She's fine. You took her home? To an empty house? She's 7 years old. Where are her keys? I assumed you'd be home shortly, Mom said coolly. I had things to do. I couldn't babysit all evening. Panic was setting in. She doesn't have keys. She can't get inside. How long ago did you drop her off? Around 5:30. It was now almost 7. My daughter had been sitting outside our house alone for over an hour in the fading daylight. How could you? I couldn't even finish the sentence. I turned and ran back to my car. The drive home took 10 minutes but felt like a lifetime. I prayed harder than I ever had. Please let her be okay. Please let her be safe. Please? I turned onto our street and saw Emma. She was sitting on the front porch steps, her backpack beside her, knees drawn up to her chest. When she saw my car, she stood up, and even from a distance, I could see her tear-stained face. I barely put the car in park before jumping out and running to her. Emma. Baby, I'm so sorry. She threw herself into my arms, sobbing. Mommy, where were you? Grandma left me here and you weren't home and I was scared. I'm here now. I'm here. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I held her tight, my own tears flowing freely. Are you okay? Did anyone bother you? No, I just waited. I was really scared when it started getting dark. I wanted to scream. I wanted to drive back to Mom's house and unleash all my rage. But Emma needed me calm, needed me present. I unlocked the door, got us inside, and held my daughter for a long time. When she finally calmed down, I made her favorite dinner, grilled cheese and tomato soup, and we ate together quietly. After she went to bed, I called Mom. She answered on the 4th ring. Yes? As if nothing had happened. How could you do that? My voice was shaking with suppressed fury. How could you leave a 7-year-old child alone outside? I told you I had things to do. She's your granddaughter. She was terrified. Sarah, you're being dramatic. She was fine. She was at her own house. She couldn't get inside. It was getting dark. Anything could have happened. But it didn't. You're overreacting as usual. I took a deep breath, trying to find calm. Why was everyone there? Marcus, Linda, Robert, why were they all at your house? We were having a family dinner. A family dinner. While Emma was there, we sent her home before we ate. The truth hit me like a sledgehammer. You never intended to help me. You wanted Emma there to, what, to prove a point? To show me you could take her and send her away? We have all decided, Mom said, her voice taking on a formal tone, that until you resolve this legal matter reasonably, until you stop tearing this family apart with your selfishness, you're not part of this family anymore. You don't get to call us when you need help. You don't get to show up at our gatherings. You made your choice when you chose money over us. I chose money? You're the ones who sued me. We wanted fairness. You wanted everything for yourself. And now you have it. You have your house and your money. But you don't have us. We have all decided you don't live here anymore. What? You don't live in this family anymore, Sarah. You left when you decided inheritance was more important than family bonds. I'm your daughter. Biologically, perhaps. But in every way that matters? No, not anymore. The line went dead. I stood in my kitchen, phone in hand, and felt something inside me break. Or maybe it was something finally solidifying. The realization that I'd been holding on to hope that didn't exist. My family was gone. Really, truly gone. And they'd proven it by leaving my child alone outside. The awakening didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of the past 8 months. The family meeting. The lawsuit. The isolation. Marcus approaching Emma. And now this. The final unforgivable act of leaving my daughter vulnerable and scared. Around 3 a.m, I got up and went to Emma's room. She was sleeping fitfully, whimpering occasionally. I sat beside her bed and watched her, this perfect little human I'd brought into the world. And I made a promise. I'm done trying to reconcile with them, I whispered. You're my family. You're what matters. And I'm going to fight for you with everything I have. The next morning, Saturday, I called Amanda Chen despite it being the weekend. I need to know exactly where we stand with the lawsuit. No sugarcoating, Amanda laid it out. We were in a strong position. The discovery had revealed that my family had no real evidence of undue influence. Grandma's lawyer would testify that she'd been completely competent and clear about her wishes. Multiple witnesses would confirm that I'd never discussed the inheritance with Grandma or asked her for money. The case would likely be dismissed, possibly with prejudice, meaning they couldn't refile. When? I asked. We have a hearing scheduled for November 8th. The judge will likely rule from the bench or shortly after. Sarah, you're going to win this. And what happens to them? Do they face any consequences for filing a baseless lawsuit? We can request they pay your legal fees. Given the harassment, especially Marcus's interaction with Emma and your mother's reckless endangerment, we have a strong case for sanctions. Do it. All of it. I want them to face consequences for what they've done. Are you sure? This will make reconciliation. There's no reconciliation, Amanda. That bridge didn't just burn, they napalmed it. And then they left my daughter sitting alone outside in the dark. I'm done. Okay then. Let's finish this. Over the next few weeks, I did something I should have done months ago. I built a new family. Not of blood, but of choice. Jessica, who had stood by me through everything, became Emma's honorary aunt. We had weekly dinners together, our daughters becoming as close as sisters. Tom from work invited us to his family's Sunday dinners. His wife Maria was warm and welcoming, and their 3 kids adopted Emma immediately. Mrs. Patterson, our elderly neighbor, started coming over for tea on Saturday afternoons. She'd known Grandma and shared stories about her that made Emma laugh and feel connected to her great-grandmother. I joined a single mother's support group at the local community center. These women understood struggle and resilience. They celebrated my victories and supported me through setbacks. Emma started thriving. She made friends at school. She joined a soccer team. She laughed more. Yes, she still asked about her grandmother and uncle occasionally, but less and less as the weeks passed. One evening in late October, she said something that made my heart swell. Mommy, I think our family is just the right size. Yeah, baby? Yeah, it's you and me. And Miss Jessica and Claire, and Mr. Tom's family. And Mrs. Patterson. That's a good family. That's a wonderful family, I agreed, holding her close. The hearing date approached. I wasn't nervous anymore. I was ready. The courtroom, November 8th, 2023, was unseasonably warm for Ohio, almost 60 degrees with bright sunshine. I took it as a good omen. I wore a navy suit I'd bought specifically for this occasion. Amanda met me at the courthouse looking confident and professional. "Remember," she said, "let me do the talking. Stay calm no matter what happens in there." We entered the courtroom, and I saw them all. Mom, Marcus, Aunt Linda, Uncle Robert. They sat on the other side with their lawyers, 3 attorneys who'd clearly cost them a fortune. Mom's eyes flickered over me once, then away. No recognition, no emotion. Like I was a stranger. Fine, I could live with that. I'll rise. The Honorable Judge Patricia Westbrook presiding. Judge Westbrook was a woman in her early 60s with sharp eyes and an air of no-nonsense competence. She'd reviewed all the briefs and evidence in advance. Be seated. We're here for the matter of Mitchell et al. Versus Mitchell, regarding the estate of Margaret Louise Henderson. I've reviewed all submitted materials. Counselors, I'll hear brief statements, then I'll rule. Plaintiffs, you may begin. Their lead attorney, a slick man in an expensive suit, stood and launched into his argument. He painted me as a manipulative, scheming woman who had isolated an elderly woman and poisoned her against her family. He used phrases like financial elder abuse and systematic alienation. I sat still, hands folded, face calm. But inside, I was burning. When he finished, Judge Westbrook looked unimpressed. "Do you have any actual evidence of this alleged manipulation? Any witnesses who observed Ms. Mitchell coercing Mrs. Henderson? Any documentation of threats or undue pressure?" "Your Honor, the pattern itself shows, so that's a no. Ms. Chen, your turn." Amanda stood, and for the next 15 minutes, she methodically dismantled their case. She presented testimony from Grandma's attorney, from Grandma's doctor, from neighbors who'd observed our relationship. She showed that I'd never asked Grandma for money, never discussed her will with her, never tried to turn her against anyone. She also presented evidence of their harassment. Marcus approaching Emma, Mom abandoning Emma outside, the constant pressure and isolation tactics. Your Honor, Amanda concluded, this lawsuit was never about justice. It was about greed and revenge. The plaintiffs couldn't accept that Margaret Henderson made her own informed decisions. So they decided to punish my client, to harass her, to sue her, and to put her young daughter in harm's way. We ask that you dismiss this case with prejudice and award attorneys' fees and sanctions. Judge Westbrook leaned back in her chair, studying all of us. The courtroom was silent, except for the ticking of the wall clock. "I've been a judge for 23 years, she finally said. "I've seen a lot of family disputes, but this case is particularly disturbing." She turned to my family's side of the courtroom. "Mrs. Mitchell, Patricia Mitchell, you're the deceased's daughter. Tell me, when was the last time you visited your mother before she passed?" Mom stood uncertainly. I visited when I could. I was very busy with, that's not what I asked. When was the last time? Thanksgiving. November of 2022, 1 month before she died. And you, Marcus Mitchell? Marcus stood. Christmas. 2 years before? 2 years. Judge Westbrook's tone was cutting. And you, Linda Brennan? Robert Brennan? They both admitted it had been even longer. But Sarah Mitchell, the judge continued, visited every single Sunday for years. She brought her daughter. She spent time with her grandmother. She cared, she paused. Margaret Henderson was 92 years old. She was of sound mind. She had every right to leave her property to whomever she chose. And she chose to leave it to the one person who actually showed up for her. She looked directly at my mother. "You left a 7-year-old child alone outside? Outside? Do you have any idea what could have happened to her?" "I was teaching Sarah a lesson," Mom started. "You put a child at risk to make a point? That's not teaching a lesson. That's child endangerment." Judge Westbrook shuffled her papers. "This case is dismissed with prejudice. Furthermore, I'm ordering the plaintiffs, jointly and severally, to pay Ms. Sarah Mitchell's attorney's fees in full. I'm also imposing sanctions in the amount of $10,000, payable to Ms. Mitchell," gasps from their side of the courtroom. "Additionally," the judge continued, "I'm making the restraining order regarding Emma Mitchell permanent. None of the plaintiffs are to have any contact with that child without express written consent from her mother, which Ms. Mitchell is under no obligation to provide." She looked at me for the first time. "Ms. Mitchell, I'm sorry you've had to endure this. Your grandmother clearly knew what she was doing. She wanted you and your daughter to have a better life. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty for accepting her love." My eyes filled with tears. "Thank you, Your Honor. Court is adjourned." The gavel came down. It was over. The aftermathy walked out of that courtroom with my head held high. Amanda was grinning. That was one of the most satisfying rulings I've ever witnessed, she said. Behind us, I could hear raised voices, my family arguing with their lawyers, demanding to know how this had happened, insisting they'd appeal. Can they appeal? I asked Amanda. They can try, but it won't go anywhere. The judge was very clear. This is done, Sarah. You won. I won. The words felt surreal. The financial impact was significant. They owed me approximately $18,000 in legal fees, plus the $10,000 in sanctions. When the money finally came through in January 2024, I used it to finish the house renovations, to buy Emma a beautiful playset for the backyard, and to put a substantial amount into a college fund. But the real victory wasn't financial. The real victory was freedom. I stopped looking over my shoulder, stopped waiting for the next attack. I stopped hoping for reconciliation that would never come. I stopped feeling guilty for accepting what Grandma had given me. Emma flourished. By Christmas 2023, she rarely mentioned her grandmother or uncle anymore. She was thriving in school, had a solid group of friends, and was genuinely happy. On Christmas morning, as we opened presents in our living room, our beautiful, paid-for living room, she looked at me with those bright blue eyes and said, "This is the best Christmas ever, Mommy." Yeah? Yeah, it's cozy. It's just us and the people who love us. Later that day, Jessica's family came over for dinner. Tom and Maria's family stopped by with gifts. Mrs. Patterson joined us for dessert. Our small house was full of laughter and love. I took a photo that evening, Emma surrounded by all these people who'd chosen to be in our lives. I posted it on Facebook with a simple caption, "Grateful for family, the kind you choose and the kind that chooses you back." Within an hour, I'd gotten dozens of likes and supportive comments. I also noticed that Mom had unfriended me. I felt nothing but relief. Spring 2024 brought new beginnings. I got a promotion at work, a pay raise, and better benefits. With the legal issues resolved and my inheritance secure, I was finally in a stable financial position for the first time in my life. Emma turned 8 in March. We threw her a birthday party in our backyard with a bouncy castle and a cookie decorating station. 20 kids came. Emma was surrounded by friends, laughing and playing. I thought about the previous year's birthday, how we'd been in the thick of the lawsuit, how isolated we'd felt. What a difference a year made. In April, I did something I'd been thinking about for months. I went to Grandma's grave. It was a beautiful spring day, the cemetery filled with blooming flowers. I brought daffodils, Grandma's favorites, and sat beside her headstone. "Hi, Grandma," I said softly. "I'm sorry it took me so long to visit. Things have been complicated." I told her everything. The lawsuit, the betrayal, the courtroom victory. I told her about Emma, about how we were thriving in her house, about how much we loved it. "I hope you know I didn't manipulate you," I said, tears streaming down my face. "I loved you. I still love you. You were more than my grandmother. You were my friend." The wind rustled through the trees, and for a moment I could almost hear her voice. "I know, sweetheart. I always knew. They hate me," I continued. "Mom, Marcus, everyone. They think I stole from them. But Grandma, you knew what you were doing, didn't you? You knew exactly what would happen. More wind, more rustling leaves. And then, as clear as if she were sitting beside me, I remembered something Grandma had said to me about 2 years before she died. We'd been sitting on her porch drinking lemonade. She'd looked at me and said, "Sarah, you're the only one who comes to see me because you want to, not because you feel obligated. The others, they visit on holidays because they think they should. But you come because you care. That means everything to me." I'd brushed it off then, told her that of course everyone loved her. But she'd shaken her head. "No, dear. I'm old enough to see things clearly. Your mother is busy with her career. Marcus is busy with his life. Linda and Robert are busy with their families. They love me in their way, but they've moved on. You haven't. You still make room for me. When I'm gone, I want to make sure you and little Emma are taken care of. You deserve it." Sitting at her grave, I finally understood. Grandma had known exactly what she was doing. She'd known the inheritance would cause problems. But she'd also known I needed it, and she'd trusted me to handle it. "I promise I'll take care of Emma," I whispered to the headstone. "I'll give her the life you wanted for us, and I'll teach her about you, about your kindness, your strength, your love. She'll know who her great-grandmother really was, I left the flowers and walked back to my car feeling lighter than I had in months. Chapter 14. The Unexpected Encounter, June 2024. Brought an unexpected complication. I was at the grocery store with Emma, doing our weekly shopping. We were in the cereal aisle, debating between Cheerios and Lucky Charms, when I heard a familiar voice behind me. "Sarah." I turned. It was Marcus. He looked different, thinner, older somehow. There were dark circles under his eyes. Emma grabbed my hand instinctively, remembering him from that awful day he'd approached her. "It's okay, sweetie," I told her softly. "Go pick out a cereal. I'll be right here." She hesitated, then moved a few feet away, keeping me in sight. "What do you want, Marcus?" I kept my voice neutral. I wanted to say I'm sorry. I stared at him, not sure I'd heard correctly. "What?" "I'm sorry. For all of it. The lawsuit, talking to Emma, everything." He looked down. "Claire left me." Claire, his wife. "I'm sorry to hear that." "She said she couldn't be with someone who would treat family the way I treated you. Who would approach a child to manipulate her mother." His voice cracked. "She was right. What I did was unforgivable. I didn't disagree. She's been really struggling," Marcus continued. "The legal fees, the sanctions, the judgment, it cost her almost everything. She had to sell the house. She's living in a condo now, and she's bitter all the time. She talks about you constantly, about how you ruined everything." "I didn't ruin anything." "You all did that yourselves." "I know." He met my eyes. "I know that now. I was greedy and entitled. I thought I deserved Grandma's money just because I was related to her. But Sarah, you earned it. You were there for her when no one else was. This wasn't what I'd expected." Part of me had imagined this moment, one of them apologizing, and in those fantasies I'd felt vindicated, triumphant. But standing here in the grocery store looking at my broken brother, I just felt sad. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. "Because I need you to know that not all of us are still against you. Because I was wrong. And because," he paused, "because Jacob asks about Emma all the time. He misses her." My heart clenched. Jacob, Marcus's son, was 9 years old. He and Emma had been so close. "I would never keep Emma from having a relationship with Jacob," I said carefully. The restraining order was about protecting her from adults who were using her as a weapon. "But if you and Claire has full custody. I have supervised visitation." Marcus's face flushed with shame. "Turned out approaching your niece to manipulate her doesn't look good in divorce proceedings." "No, I imagine it doesn't. Claire wants to reach out to you. To see if maybe the kids could have playdates or something. She feels terrible about everything." Emma had chosen her cereal and was walking back toward us. She looked at Marcus warily. "Hi, Emma," Marcus said softly. "You've gotten so big." Emma pressed against my side, not responding. "We should go," I said. "But Marcus?" "Tell Claire she can call me. I'd be open to the kids spending time together if Emma wants to. But it would be supervised, and it would be on my terms." "Of course." "Thank you, Sarah, for even considering it." We left him standing in the cereal aisle. As we walked away, Emma looked up at me. "Was that really Uncle Marcus?" "Yes, baby." He looked sad. He is sad. He made some bad choices, and now he's dealing with the consequences. "Do you forgive him?" I thought about that as we continued shopping. Did I forgive Marcus, could I? "I don't know yet," I finally answered honestly. Forgiveness isn't something you just decide to do. It's something you work toward. And right now, I'm still healing from what he did. Emma nodded, accepting this. "That's okay. You don't have to forgive someone just because they say sorry. My wise little girl." Rebuilding bridges, Claire called me 3 days later. She was crying before she even introduced herself. "Sarah, I'm so sorry. I should have stopped Marcus. I should have said something. Claire, take a breath," I said gently. She did. Then, I didn't know the full extent of what was happening until the lawsuit. Marcus kept saying it was just a legal matter, that you'd be fine, that it was about fairness. I believed him because he was my husband. But when he told me he'd approached Emma, her voice broke. I lost it. I told him he had to apologize, that he had to make it right. He refused. Said you deserved it for being selfish. That's when I knew I couldn't stay married to him. "I'm sorry your marriage ended. I'm not. Not anymore. I'd rather be divorced than married to someone who could do what he did." She paused. Jacob misses Emma so much. He keeps asking when he can see her. Would there be any way they could spend time together? I thought about Emma, about how she'd mentioned missing Jacob. Let me talk to Emma, okay? If she wants to see him, we can arrange something supervised. Maybe at a park or something neutral? Thank you. God, thank you so much. That evening, I sat down with Emma. Aunt Claire called. Jacob wants to see you. How would you feel about that? Emma's face lit up. Really? I can see Jacob? If you want to. It would just be you and him at a park, with me and Aunt Claire there. No other grown-ups from that side of the family. Not Grandma or Uncle Marcus? Not unless you want to see them. She considered this seriously. I want to see Jacob. He's my cousin and my friend. But I don't want to see the others. They were mean to you, and they scared me. Okay, then that's what we'll do. The following Saturday, we met Claire and Jacob at the park. Jacob, a tall 9-year-old with Marcus's dark hair, saw Emma and broke into a huge grin. Emma! Jacob. They ran to each other and hugged, then immediately ran off toward the playground, chattering excitedly. Claire and I sat on a bench watching them. I really am sorry, Claire said quietly. I should have been a better sister-in-law. You're not responsible for Marcus's choices. No, but I was complicit in my silence. I knew the lawsuit was wrong. I knew they were being cruel, but I didn't say anything because I didn't want to cause problems in my marriage. She laughed bitterly. Lot of good that did me. For what it's worth, you're doing the right thing now. We sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching our kids play. They were showing each other their best moves on the monkey bars, completely absorbed in being kids again. Your mom is still really angry, Claire finally said. She blames you for everything. The lawsuit failing, the money she had to pay, having to sell her house. Marcus said she's become obsessed with it. That's her choice. Marcus is in therapy. His therapist is helping him see how toxic the family dynamic was, how your mom's bitterness infected everyone. Claire glanced at me. Did you know your mom was jealous of you? I was startled. Jealous of me? Why would she be jealous of me? Because Margaret, your grandma, talked about you constantly. To everyone. She was so proud of you, of how you were raising Emma alone, of how strong you were. Apparently, it drove your mom crazy. She felt like her own mother loved you more than her. That actually made a disturbing amount of sense. So she punished me for being close to Grandma. Essentially, yes. At least that's what Marcus's therapist thinks. Add in the money, and it became the perfect storm. I watched Emma and Jacob on the swings, pushing themselves higher and higher, laughing without a care in the world. I'm glad Jacob has you, I told Claire. He needs a parent who can think clearly. And I'm glad Emma has you. You're a good mom, Sarah. A really good mom. That day marked the beginning of a new relationship. Claire and I started coordinating regular playdates for the kids. Sometimes just the four of us, sometimes including Jessica's daughter, too. The kids were happy, and gradually Claire became a real friend. She never pressured me to reconcile with the rest of the family. She respected my boundaries and my healing process. 1 year later, September 15th, 2024, exactly 1 year after that horrible day when Mom left Emma outside. I woke up early and made Emma's favorite breakfast, chocolate chip pancakes. She stumbled into the kitchen in her pajamas, rubbing her eyes. Why are we having special breakfast? She asked. Because 1 year ago today was a really hard day. And I want to celebrate how far we've come. Emma climbed into her chair, suddenly serious. When Grandma left me outside? Yes, I was really scared that day. I know you were, baby. And I'm so sorry that happened to you. It's not your fault, Mommy. She reached across the table and patted my hand. You came and got me. You always come and get me. My eyes filled with tears. Always. No matter what. We ate our pancakes, and then Emma said something that surprised me. I don't think about them much anymore. Grandma and Uncle Marcus and everyone. No? No, I used to, but now I have all my friends at school, and Miss Jessica and Claire and Mr. Tom's family and Mrs. Patterson. I don't really miss them. It was bittersweet to hear. On one hand, I was glad she'd healed and moved on. On the other hand, she was 8 years old and had lost her extended family. That's okay, I told her. It's okay to not miss them. They hurt us, and you don't have to feel bad about protecting yourself. I know. She took a big bite of pancake. Did great-grandma know this would happen? When she gave us the house? I think I think she knew it might, but she also knew we needed it more than they did. Because we didn't have a lot of money? That's part of it. But also because she knew I'd take care of it, and take care of you. She trusted me. Emma nodded, satisfied with this answer. I'm glad she gave us the house. I love my room. Me too, baby. Later that day, I did something I'd been thinking about for months. I wrote a letter to my mother, not because I wanted reconciliation, not because I was asking for anything, but because I needed to say my piece to close this chapter completely. Dear Mom, 1 year ago today, you left Emma sitting outside our house alone. You did it to hurt me, to teach me a lesson about calling you for help. Instead, you taught me something else entirely. You taught me that you're not the person I thought you were. I spent most of my life trying to earn your approval, trying to be the daughter you wanted. It was never enough. And when Grandma left me her house and money, it became clear that it would never be enough. You couldn't be happy for me. You couldn't see that Grandma was trying to give Emma and me a better life. All you could see was what you thought you deserved. I'm not writing this to hurt you or to rehash everything that happened. I'm writing because I need you to know. I forgive you. Not because you've apologized. You haven't. Or because you deserve it. You don't. But because I refuse to carry this anger anymore. It's too heavy and I have a daughter to raise. I forgive you, but I also release you. You're no longer my mother in any meaningful sense. That relationship is over. If someday you genuinely change, if you genuinely acknowledge what you did and seek amends, maybe we can have some kind of civil relationship. But I'm not holding my breath and I'm not waiting. Emma and I have built a good life. We're happy. We're surrounded by people who love us genuinely, without conditions. We don't need you to complete our family because we're already complete. I hope someday you find peace. I hope someday you understand what you lost. But mostly, I hope you learn that love isn't something you can weaponize, and family isn't something you can use as a bargaining chip. Goodbye, Mom. Sarah. I addressed the envelope, put a stamp on it, and dropped it in the mailbox. Then I let it go. I never got a response. I didn't expect one. 2 years later. September 2025. Emma is 10 years old now, thriving in 5th grade. She's on the soccer team, taking piano lessons, and has a best friend named Riley, who's over at our house at least twice a week. The house is fully ours now, not just legally, but emotionally. Every room holds memories of Emma and me building our life together. The kitchen where we make Sunday morning pancakes. The living room where we have movie nights. The backyard where Emma's playset sits next to a garden we planted together last spring. I was promoted again at work. I'm now the accounting manager, with a salary that would have seemed impossible just a few years ago. We're financially stable, even comfortable. Emma's college fund grows steadily. Jessica and I are still best friends. Our daughters are like sisters. We take vacations together, celebrate holidays together, support each other through life's ups and downs. Claire has become family too. She and Jacob come over for dinner every other week. Marcus is still in therapy, still working on himself. He sends Emma birthday cards now. Nothing pushy, just simple cards saying he's thinking of her. She keeps them but doesn't respond. Maybe someday she will. Maybe not. It's her choice. Mrs. Patterson passed away peacefully last month. We were with her at the end, and in her will, she left Emma her antique doll collection. For a girl who reminds me of the granddaughter I never had, her will stated. Emma cried when we read that. I still visit Grandma's grave regularly. I bring flowers and tell her about Emma's latest accomplishments, about how we're doing. I think she'd be proud. As for my mother, brother, aunt, and uncle, I see occasional updates on social media through mutual acquaintances. Mom sold her condo and moved in with Aunt Linda. The legal fees and sanctions apparently hit them all hard. Marcus's divorce was finalized. Uncle Robert's construction business struggled and eventually closed. I feel nothing. Not satisfaction at their struggles, not vindication, not sadness. Just nothing. They're strangers now, people I used to know. 2 weeks ago, something unexpected happened. I was at the grocery store. Always the grocery store with these encounters. And I ran into an old family friend, Mrs. Chen, who had known all of us for years. Sarah. She hugged me warmly. How are you? How's Emma? We're great, actually. Really great. I'm so glad. She lowered her voice. I heard about everything that happened with your family. I want you to know a lot of us think they were completely wrong. Thank you. That means a lot. Your mother? Mrs. Chen shook her head. I tried talking to her, told her she was making a mistake. But Patricia has always been stubborn. She's miserable now, you know. Talks about you constantly, about how you betrayed her. That's her choice to feel that way. Yes, it is. Mrs. Chen studied my face. You look happy, Sarah, at peace. I am. It took a while, but I am. Good. That's the best revenge, living well. She's right. I am living well. Emma and I both are. Last week, Emma came home from school with an assignment. Write about your family. She showed it to me that evening. She'd written about me, about Jessica and Claire, about Mrs. Patterson, before she passed, about all the people who'd chosen to be in our lives. At the bottom, she'd drawn a picture of our house with hearts around it. Is this okay? She asked. I didn't write about Grandma Patricia or Uncle Marcus or anyone. This is perfect, baby. This is exactly right. This is our real family, she beamed. That's what I thought too. That night, after Emma went to bed, I stood in the doorway of Grandma's old room, the room where she'd spent her final years, where she'd made the decision to leave us this house. I'd converted it into a home office, but I'd kept her favorite chair in the corner, the one where she used to sit and read. Thank you, Grandma, I whispered into the quiet room. Thank you for seeing us. Thank you for taking care of us. Thank you for knowing what we needed even when it caused problems. No response, of course. But I felt something, warmth, peace, love. Maybe it was just my imagination. Or maybe Grandma was still watching over us, still making sure we were okay. I turned off the light and went to bed, feeling grateful. Not for the money or the house, though those were wonderful, but for the clarity, for understanding what family really means, for learning that sometimes losing people who hurt you is actually finding yourself. My name is Sarah Mitchell. I'm 36 years old. I'm a single mother, a homeowner, a survivor of family betrayal. But most importantly, I'm happy, and that's worth more than any inheritance.